I think I don't do life good. I'm not good at life. And I'm a little bit better at doing a role.
Hollywood almost ended Al Pacino, mentally, emotionally, and almost literally. One role messed him up so bad, he lost himself, needed therapy 5 days a week, and spent years silently spiraling while still smiling on red carpets. Behind the fame was a dark, twisted reality of breakdowns, betrayals, and a $50 million wipeout that no one saw coming. Al Pacino, his dad dipped when he was 2, his mom hustled as hard as she could, and little Al was that Bronx kid wildin' in the streets, fighting, skipping school, and shoplifting just to get by. His first dream wasn't even acting, it was baseball. But once he got a taste of the theater, it was a wrap. He dropped out of school at 17, fought with his mom about it, and dipped out on his own. He was broke, couch surfing, sometimes literally sleeping on the streets, working odd jobs just to eat. Janitor, busboy, postal clerk, you name it. But even while he was dead broke, he wasn't giving up. He was out here chasing auditions, getting rejected over and over. And just when it seemed hopeless, he landed at HB Studio. That's where he linked with Charlie Lawton, his mentor, his ride or die. Charlie introduced him to method acting and basically rewired his entire brain. Finally, at 23, he got into the actor's studio under the Lee Strasberg, who taught him how to bleed emotionally on stage without flinching. And that is when the magic started. Now let's jump to The Godfather, aka the movie most people know him from. His journey wasn't some glamorous Hollywood fairy tale. It was straight up sabotage disguised as an audition. He wasn't just almost fired. The studio wanted him gone before he even got the chance to speak more than a few lines. In his memoir, Sonny Boy, Pacino revealed that studio execs had zero faith in him. To them, he was too boring, too quiet, and let's be real, not famous enough. They wanted someone big. They floated names like Robert Redford and Warren Beatty. But Francis Ford Coppola had to beg to keep him in the role of Michael Corleone. The pressure wasn't just high, it was soul-crushing. And everything came down to one scene, the restaurant execution of Sollozzo and McCluskey. If he bombed it, it was a wrap. Coppola made sure this was Al's big test, and it took 15 hours to film. Pacino said he was mentally unraveling with every take, the weight of potentially losing the biggest opportunity of his life. It was all riding on this one moment of quiet, icy. That's the irony. It was his subtlety that saved him. The exact thing the studio hated became the thing they couldn't deny. After that scene, they shut up, and Pacino was locked in. Then came the sequel in '74, and The Godfather Part 2 cemented him as that guy. The shift from reluctant son to cold-blooded boss? Chilling. Critics called it one of the greatest performances ever. And while he lost the Oscar to Art Carney, everyone knew Al had arrived. Sprinkle in Serpico and Dog Day Afternoon, and boom, he's the king of gritty 70s cinema. But just when it looked like he couldn't miss, he started missing. The movie made over $250 million, but Pacino walked away with debt. Yes, the Al Pacino, the face of one of the most iconic films in history, was being hounded like a deadbeat. Why? Because MGM came for his neck. They sued him for breach of contract, claiming he ditched a mafia comedy they had already cast him in. He described the experience like being chased by loan sharks. It was like I was some sort of gambler and the bookies were going to get me. I had to hire lawyers to help get me out of that contract. Soon, I was $15,000 in debt to the lawyers too. So what did Al do? He rolled up to MGM's top guy and begged for the war to stop. This wasn't some power play. This was survival mode. According to Sonny Boy, the studio had agreed, but only if Pacino gave them first look rights on all his future projects. It was basically a creative ransom. Pacino agreed. He had no choice. That lawsuit wasn't just financial, it cracked his mental foundation. And this was supposed to be the start of his golden era. Al Pacino might have built a whole career playing tortured characters, but let's be real. The real torture was happening behind the scenes. Yes, The Godfather made him a star overnight, but it also wrecked his mental health in ways that very few people knew about. He was still in his early 30s when the fame tsunami hit, and instead of celebrating, he was spiraling. Pacino said that after The Godfather, he didn't know how to function anymore. Everyone around him was like, "You're rich, you're famous, just enjoy it." Even his mentor, Lee Strasberg, hit him with the casual, "Just adjust to your new life." Behind closed doors, Pacino was breaking down. He was actually in therapy 5 days a week for 25 years. You read that right. Decades of trying to work through everything the spotlight broke inside him. And this wasn't just some "I need a quick check-in" type therapy. He was deep in it, navigating years of trauma, depression, identity issues, and fame-induced burnout. And get this, Pacino literally started recognizing his mental state in the roles he was taking. When he was filming The Godfather Part 2, he looked at Michael Corleone and thought, "Yeah, this dude's depressed, just like me." And he wasn't wrong. That cold, distant vibe Michael had, it wasn't acting. It was Pacino projecting his own mental fog right onto the screen. But this is the role that broke him for real. Tony Montana didn't just ruin his enemies, he ruined Al Pacino's mental health. Scarface was gritty, explosive, iconic. But it also cracked something inside Al that never fully healed. The role required him to tap into unrelenting violence, unchecked ego, and full-blown paranoia. And y'all, it bled into his real life. He said, point blank, he was never the same after that film. The intensity didn't shut off when cameras stopped rolling. Pacino developed chronic insomnia, couldn't sleep more than 2 to 3 hours a night. He'd hallucinate, snap at people. His mood swung wildly. And the worst part? Nobody noticed. Because on the outside, he was Scarface. But inside, he was cracking. Years later, he did a film called The Humbling, playing an aging actor slipping into depression while having an affair with a much younger woman. Sound familiar? He was basically staring into a mirror the whole time. He said the role attracted him because the character was falling apart, losing touch with the work that once gave him purpose. It was art imitating life. Again. Even at the Venice Film Festival, when he was older, he admitted, "I may be depressed, but I don't know about it." And that's the wild part about Pacino. He's been labeled a tortured genius for years, but when you zoom in on his actual life, the genius part came at a cost. The man was battling chronic insomnia, working through emotional trauma, and juggling global fame while quietly imploding. The roles he took weren't just award bait. They were therapy in disguise. When he played that sleep-deprived detective in Insomnia, he knew what that felt like. Not sleeping for nights, watching reality blur, hallucinating from pure exhaustion. It wasn't acting. It was lived experience, on camera. But this was the first time the public truly turned on Al. The year was 1980. He starred in Cruising, playing a cop going undercover in New York's gay S&M clubs to catch a serial killer. The backlash was instant and brutal. LGBTQ+ activists said it was demonizing the community. They sabotaged the production with air horns, mirrors, and daily protests. The tension on set was so intense that most of the film's audio had to be redubbed. Pacino tried to power through, but the damage was irreversible. Critics called it exploitative. Audiences were uncomfortable. And Pacino, he got blacklisted in certain circles. In Sonny Boy, he revealed that he regretted taking the role and even donated the entire check to charity. But by then, it was too late. The public didn't want apologies. They wanted blood. After Revolution in 1985, Pacino ghosted Hollywood for 4 years. The film cost $28 million. It made $300,000. That's not a flop. That's cinematic arson. Critics roasted his fake accent. Some even said it was unwatchable. The embarrassment hit hard. Pacino spiraled. He said he felt worthless, like his best work was behind him. He vanished from the public eye from 85 to 89, not taking a single acting job. Friends say he was deeply depressed and doubted if he'd ever be taken seriously again. It wasn't just a hiatus, it was a mental shutdown. So by the time The Devil's Advocate came out in 1997, Al had already been through hell and back, mentally, emotionally, and financially. He'd survived lawsuits after The Godfather, public backlash from Cruising, the mental collapse after Scarface, and a full-on career disappearance after Revolution. This man had literally lost everything more than once. So when he stepped into the role of John Milton, the devil, he didn't just play that character, he channeled something personal. Like, let's look at the actual speech. Is he still talking about God? Or is that Al Pacino throwing shade at the industry that nearly destroyed him over and over again? Then comes the mic drop. That's not just dialogue. He wasn't just playing a role, he was venting about Hollywood, about fame, about everything that had nearly killed him. And the wildest part? We were all too busy clapping to realize he was low-key telling us the truth. It's giving devil with a message, and it perfectly circles back to the idea that behind every iconic role was a broken man trying to survive the chaos. But let's talk about how he went broke. Al Pacino trusted Kenneth Starr, his money guy, with everything. Bad move. Starr was secretly running a Ponzi scheme. He used Pacino's money to fund a lifestyle that included private jets, luxury vacations, and absurd bills. One of them, $400,000 a year for landscaping, for a house Pacino didn't even live in. He was paying for 16 cars, but only owned 2. He had 23 cell phone lines he didn't know existed. He'd just fly to Europe on a whim, rent entire hotel floors, and think, oh, I'm rich, it's fine. But it wasn't, because when he finally looked at his finances in 2011, after ignoring them for years, he realized he was broke. He said, "There's almost nothing worse for a famous person. There's being dead, and then there's being broke." To stay afloat, he sold one of his homes, took commercials, even accepted roles he once would have laughed at, like Jack and Jill, the Adam Sandler comedy where he plays a ridiculous version of himself. That role paid $5 million and saved him from drowning. As if that wasn't enough, Al's health has been a whole saga. He's been battling insomnia for decades, like actual, terrifying, hallucination-level insomnia. He said it got so bad he'd stay up until sunrise, unable to rest, memory fried, mood swinging. That's why his performance in Insomnia, 2002, was so disturbingly real. He lived that script. And then COVID hit, like literally hit. In 2020, he caught the virus, passed out, flatlined for several minutes, and had to be revived by 6 paramedics and 2 doctors in full hazmat suits. He didn't see the bright light. He didn't float above his body. When he woke up, it was like waking from the void.
I didn't feel anything. I didn't see anything, no white light or anything like that. But, they said my pulse had stopped.
No memories, no nothing. That near-death moment changed him forever. But low-key, this wasn't even the first time his life was on the line. In the 70s, right after The Godfather blew up, Pacino got drunk at a party and accepted a ride home from a fan who turned out to be a full-blown kidnapper. She told him straight up mid-drive, "I'm kidnapping you." This is what he did. In his book, he wrote, "I am from the South Bronx. When I see some crazy person trying to do something to me, I know how to escape. I said, 'No, you're not. I'm getting out.' She said, 'No, no,' and she kept driving." Then he added, "I opened the door as if to jump out of the car. I was a little drunk, but I was ready to leap from a moving car if I had to. This ain't happening to me, man." Thankfully, she got spooked and dropped him off at home. Meanwhile, his love life was just as chaotic. He never got married, but had 4 kids by 3 women. Now he just had a baby at 83. Yes, 83. With Noor Alfallah, a 29-year-old woman who had also dated Mick Jagger and Clint Eastwood.
I mean, you're in your 80s. I guess you're never too old to tango. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, yeah. But I'm thinking, I wanna go on. I'm trying to find a way. I want to go on a few years. No, no more. Things happen in life, they happen, and that happened.
What a joy to have.
It's a joy. It really
I've got
is.
4 as well.
Who can do without them? I mean, it's the best.
They welcomed baby Roman in 2023, but the fairy tale fizzled fast. By late 2024, their romance was over. But the financial ties? Oh, those stayed. The court ordered Pacino to pay $30,000 a month in child support, $110,000 up front, and another $13,000 a month for a night nurse. Then came the betrayal. By 2024, Noor was dating other men, including comedian Bill Maher, while still living lavishly on Al's dime. People were whispering that she finessed him, but he just let it rock. Some say he was in love, others say he was just too tired to fight. Either way, it's giving sugar daddy trap. Al Pacino survived Hollywood, but at what cost? His life is like one long movie that goes from Oscar-worthy to lifetime drama real quick. The highs, insane. The lows, literally near death, broke, betrayed, and clowning himself in Adam Sandler movies to keep up with landscaping bills. And through all of it, he's still standing. So, is Al Pacino a legend or a cautionary tale? The world saw Michael Corleone, but behind the camera, he was just a broken man trying to survive a system that almost killed him. And if you thought this story was wild, wait till you see the next one. Hit that next video and find out which other legend secretly lost everything. It's messier than you think.